Just want to start off by saying that this is not a proper review. This is more of a my experience kind of video. Just a quick preface. I reached out to Huawei asking about another product. I think it was a laptop, and I had contacted Huawei about one of their products, and they said, yeah, we don't have that in right now, but would you want to take a look at our Mate 10 Pro? So they were kind enough to send one over here, and I've been using it on and off as my daily driver ever since. What I can talk about today is, stuff like camera quality and like overall battery life and things like that. Things that you would identify once you have used the phone for quite a while as your daily driver. So I haven't used it enough, so I can't really explain everything about this phone, but that's not even the point of this video. I'm here to talk about my first experience using a proper Huawei phone, not the Nexus 6P, which is like Google's phone manufactured by Huawei, but a proper Huawei smartphone running EMUI and featuring their native hardware. With that said, today I'm going to be focusing more generally on the design aspects of Huawei phones, particularly in this case, like I said, the Mate 10 Pro, as well as the EMUI software experience accompanied with the integrated hardware and performance in general. So right off the bat, let's start with build quality, and it has a very unique look to it. I really do enjoy it. It's very premium feeling, has a nice kind of porcelain texture. It's a very smooth and refined in my opinion, and the color scheme is like really nice. Like, you don't see this kind of bluish color on most US variants of smartphones. It's a very Huawei-esque look. It's very unique to the company. I like the placement of the fingerprint sensor, and also I enjoy the very symmetrical camera setup. You can see they've paid attention to detail there. But I would say, like, of course, a lot of phones look similar nowadays, but there's something about Huawei phones, particularly the Mate 10 Pro and the newer P20 Pro, that just retain a uniqueness. Like, I can't really put my finger on it. It could be the color, it could be the glass aspect, it could be the branding. It's just not like anything you see here in the US, in my opinion. A couple more things regarding design. First of all, their supercharging is impressive. I mean, I haven't really compared it with OnePlus's dash charging, which I have raved about, but I mean, I plugged it in and it was to like 50, 75% in a really quick amount of time. Secondly, the audio aspects of their devices, at least the Mate 10 Pro, are really great. They have a stereo audio setup, which is a huge step up from what I'm used to using on the OnePlus 6. And the USB Type-C earphones, which look a lot like earpods, are really nice. Like, I don't know, like they just sound better than the earpods that I'm used to using with my OnePlus 6 and its headphone jack. It could be just the USB-C aspect of it, or it could be they just designed a really damn good pair of headphones. I don't know, I just really enjoyed using them and, jamming out to my usual tunes. Next, let's move on to the software aspect of these phones, as well as performance, because this phone, the Mate 10 Pro, features their homegrown Huawei Kirin 970 processor. It's an 8-core, it performs very similarly to the Snapdragon 835, and I believe this processor is also found in the more recent P20 Pro. So when I talk performance, I think it'll be reflective of their newer smartphones. In regard to the software experience, EMUI, I was initially skeptical. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I'm more of a stock Android guy, as you know, but the more I used the phone, the more the experience grew on me. Now, is EMUI my favorite flavor of Android? It's not, and I don't think it will ever be. But is it a bad experience? And my answer to that is absolutely not. It's a really smooth experience. It's pleasant. I haven't had a huge problem with it at all, and that's coming from a stock Android guy all the way. And accompanied with their Kirin 970, I mean, it gets about A performance, not like A plus, OnePlus 6 performance, because let's face it, OnePlus is at the top of that game in regard to performance. They optimize the hell out of their software. But I mean, for a heavily skinned version of Android, I mean, it performs in my eyes better than, the current Samsung phones. I would prefer this over using TouchWiz any day. On top of the Kirin 970 found on their smartphones, the Mate 10 at least features 6 gigs of RAM, which makes multitasking really great. You don't really have to reopen a ton of apps all the time, and yeah, I mean, it's probably similar to that of the OnePlus 6, the baseline model. So yeah, I mean, like, the more RAM, the better. I don't know why companies are still putting 3 gigs and 4 gigs of RAM, Bring it up there, because people like to be able to get back in their apps as soon as possible. Now, going back to the EMUI experience, there are a couple features that I particularly enjoy, and I'm going to use my phone because I can't remember all of them. First is this kind of changing wallpaper thing. Like, if you turn off your phone, like, Their lock screen wallpaper will change if you want that set up, and they have a lot of beautiful wallpapers. They have a built-in screen recorder, so you don't have to go in the Play Store and look for, you know, the best one, and they all kind of suck anyway. So if it's native, I think it's better. EMUI offers an ultra power saving mode, which is great for two things, I think. One, for survival, like you gotta like have your phone lasting for as long as possible while you're being like rescued or something. Or two, maybe you don't want to get so distracted and you want to just keep your phone locked down to a few apps. So, and believe me, that feature could probably help me a lot. EMUI also offers a remote feature, at least in their phones that have an IR blaster. In the Mate 10 Pro's case, you can like turn on TVs with your phone, and I know Samsung phones can do that, but it's still a nifty feature to have. And lastly, their knuckle toggled multitasking, I know that sounds kind of weird, is a really cool feature. I just realized you could do this recently, and I think it's a really intuitive way to toggle the multitasking switcher. So next up, I want to address some of the things that I'm not a big fan of, and of course this wouldn't be an honest video if I didn't do so. It doesn't mean I don't like this phone or the software experience. Of course, I just have some gripes about it, and thankfully in the Mate 10 Pro's case and EMUI's case, these things are really nitpicky and personal, so you might not have a problem with any of these things yourself, but I'm just gonna say them anyway. As I previously said, EMUI, you know, as smooth as it is, it's a little jittery sometimes, and that's to be expected with a heavily skinned version of Android. So like there's like some animations that are a little off and whatever, but for the most part, like I said, it's A-level performance, but just keep that in mind if you're looking for a blazing fast phone. There's also some inconsistencies in like fonts and whatnot. That's just me. Like I like to see a consistent system-wide font, but like you go to the camera and it kind of has this weird like robotic, more typewriter-esque font. I don't know, like that's just me. You might not have a problem with that at all, but I like consistency in terms of just the overall system look. And my last small gripe about this phone, or more specifically EMUI, is the scaling. It's really weird. Like the small scale is like way too small and unusable in my opinion. The large scale obviously is for like old people who can't see, and then the default scale is like a little bit too big for my taste. But with all my opinionated gripes out of the way, I will say I am impressed with what Huawei has to offer, and I have enjoyed my time using the Mate 10 Pro thus far. I hope that I can use it for a little longer, you know, enough time so that I can make a year later, like late review or something. And if you're looking at Huawei phones, you're not too sure, say you live in America, like I was a little skeptical at first, I will say like this is not a bad choice in phone at all. You can find the Mate 10 Pro for a great price on websites like B&H Photo, and I think Amazon too, I might be wrong. But yeah, I mean, it's a great contender, it's a great flagship even to this day, and I can say that without even reviewing it as of yet. And if you're a little skeptical about Huawei phones, say you're American, you never really encountered anything besides the Nexus 6P, I mean, there's nothing to be afraid of. These phones are great. And yeah, I'm impressed with the overall experience. Huawei, you surprised me with EMUI. You know, I actually like it, and I would have no problem using it if I had to. Not all heavily skinned versions of Android are bad. And Huawei has proven that to me. So yeah, that wraps things up. I hope this video helped you out if you're kind of warming up to Huawei phones. Maybe expect a potential late review of this phone. I don't really know how much time I can have this for, but depending on that, we'll see. And other than that, I will catch you all in the next one.